Welcome into the RedHawk Hoops Report. We'll be with you all year long here. This is your weekly show to cover the Miami women's basketball program. Luke Poley, joined by the head coach of the Miami women's basketball team, Glenn Box. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thanks for having me, Luke. I appreciate this.
So once again, we'll be with you hopefully every week, schedule permitting, throughout this entire season to get some updates, get coaches' thoughts on how things are going, and some weekly previews of the games on the schedule. So, Coach started this past week with a couple of games. I think you turned a lot of heads in the home opener against Appalachian State to open up the season, a win that was one of the most dominant this team has seen in a number of years. Just what were your overall thoughts about that season opener?
I was very pleased with our team. I thought we showcased our talent. I thought that we showcased what we're capable of becoming. I thought that it was a obviously really good start to the season. We didn't know a whole lot about them. We were trying to guess really personnel and guess really such as who would be playing and their style of play. They had a new coach, so we were weren't really surprised too much in what we were able to see. But as far as our kids were concerned, it was good to get off to a good start and see our body of work. So I was happy about, with where we were after the first game.
And then you hit the road yesterday against Xavier, different looking Musketeers team than in years past. Kind of fell behind early, made a couple of runs, cut it a little bit closer at halftime, but just never quite able to get over the hump. So, what do you think was different from game one to game two for your team?
I just felt like it was our first game on the road. They hit us in the mouth early. We kind of got the jitters when things didn't go our way. We couldn't make shots. We got in early foul trouble. We had a number of kids with two fouls by the half. So we were on our heels, and we were trying to work our way back. Obviously, we were down as many as 20. We came back, took the lead. But the biggest difference was I felt like at times we just kind of really lost our minds. We lost our discipline. We weren't solid on both sides of the ball. And it was disappointing, but there were some things that we could pick up, learn from, and I'm pretty sure we will.
This roster obviously looks a little bit different than it did last year. And I know Amber's leading the way for you guys scoring wise, who is a returner, but outside of her, your next four leading scorers, kind of going down the list two through five are transfers and new players to your program. So uh, I guess what are your thoughts on seeing those players in game action in this system for the first time and how they've contributed?
I think they have a chance to be really good. These newcomers, I mean, they're extremely talented. Like Inge hasn't really played a lot in the last year, so she's really trying to get her feet wet. Maya's here after a new system. Camille hasn't played really in since high school, and you're talking about 3 years now. And so, as these kids get their footing, not to mention our younger kids accrue experience, I like their potential. I think they bring a lot to the table in regards to decision making, play making, effort, energy. I like what they're about, and I'm excited for them.
Speaking of potential and kind of developing a little bit, you have some non D1 games on the schedule coming up later on in the non-conference slate, which generally tend to be a good time to, get a lot of players different time. But even having played two D1 games already against, two pretty competitive teams, 13 out of your 14 players on the roster have already seen the floor. How important is that to really get everybody involved this early?
That's a really good question because, all of our kids work extremely hard. You want them to accrue experience. It's hard to get kids playing time. There's only so many minutes on the court, to be had. And, we talk about this all the time. We need everyone. We need everyone ready. They bring versatility. And not to mention, you want them to maintain rhythm, just simply playing. So, our goal, our hope is that, we are going to be able to handle our business and we can play as many people as possible, if not everyone. And that's our goal, but at the same time, you got to approach every game serious and you have to handle your business and we intend to do so. So um, we need we need rhythm. Anything we can get these kids playing time, we need it and so that's what we're hoping for. Good question.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Um, for some of those newcomers, you mentioned Angelina a little bit, but also for Tamar and for DeVries a little bit. Having not played college basketball before and already a pretty good body of work, looking at around 30 minutes a game through, the first two games already for those three players this season. How do you think they've handled seeing that much time on the floor and conditioning wise?
I don't think we're in great condition right now, largely because, there's so much to learn and we haven't scrimmaged a whole lot, not to mention, Angie's been out for, like I said, she'd been out a month. So she's still trying to get her legs and so like it takes a minute. It takes a minute. Hopefully we can continue to play ourselves into shape. Actually, after this next week, after this next game, we intend to do a lot more scrimmaging. It's just hard to get everything in, during this time. And I was hoping we could steal some wins and make that happen. But, Xavier, they beat us. We logged a lot of minutes, and Tamara was even cramping a little bit in that game. Inge cramped in the first game. So we got some kids that we're really just not in great shape right now.
So you're in a little bit of a homestand here. This game against Tiffin will be the first of three straight at home for you, your first
Right.
five games overall at home. Pretty stark contrast from year one for you at Miami last season, where it was just a semester long road trip, it seemed like, until MAC play started. How important is it to get to not only play in front of the home fans, but also not have that strain of having to travel and not sleep in your own bed and be on a bus all the time early in the season?
After last year, you realize the importance of it. That stuff can be pretty taxing over time. It can wear on you. And last year was a long, long season. And, if Ben did a tremendous job of piecing together the schedule and, we were able to get a couple extra games at home and hopefully long term, it's going to pay dividends. And so, it just works out too because, we get these some return games. So, we're happy about that.
Looking ahead to this week, you've got a Division two opponent in Tiffin coming up on Thursday, and then Austin P on Sunday, a team that's projected to finish in the top half of the Atlantic Sun and be pretty competitive in their own right. Just what are your thoughts, I guess, headed into this week? You get to play a couple games at home first, against a Tiffin team you're looking to maybe tune up, and then also trying to get after it on Sunday.
Well, at the moment, we don't have immediate film from them, so we're still a little bit behind with them. We're trying to get some film as we speak. Their stuff currently isn't on Synergy, so we're just trying to get what we can. And so we've really been focused today, watching a lot of film of us, in ways that we can get better. Because obviously you have to take care of yourself. I don't think we were very good yesterday. So we need to clean some things up, before we get ready for Tiffin. As far as Austin Peay's concerned, their roster, they're smaller, they look faster. I haven't seen them yet on film. But I do know that they have a lot of new bodies, a lot of new kids. It's a little different look than what they had last year. They had a lot more size last year. They had some older players, a lot of grad transfers last year. But we know you got to be ready for every game, and they're going to pose a good test. They're a well-coached team, and at least they were last year. So I'm expecting the same. And at the end of the day, we have to really clean up some of the things that we do. We got to do better at what we do. We didn't execute well at all yesterday offensively nor defensively. So, we know we need to be better.
With this many new players in, connectedness is a term you hear around college basketball a lot in this era. That's a big coaching buzzword with this much roster turnover kind of on every team in the entire country, it seems like. So, where do you think you guys are at in that process?
I don't think we're connected at all at the moment. I just think that it's really largely due to the fact that we just have a lot of new kids who haven't been in a system like, are the same system, or, with the expectations and necessarily the standards that we have here. And so, it takes time for people to really understand what it is that we're trying to do and accomplish and then be able to do it by habit And right now it takes time to build habits, and that's kind of where we are right now. We're still young with this team, and you still have these young players like I'd mentioned, and then kids that hadn't played in a while. So they're still trying to build that momentum and build good habits and learn some things on the fly at the same time, try to win some games. We're better than we were last year at this point. I just wish we were 2-0, but we're not. So we need to, learn from our mistakes and prepare and get ready for Tiffin.
I know in the past the amount of talent, kind of at the forward, at the 4 and 5 position, specifically has been something that this program has wanted to improve upon. And in rebounding, you guys sat near the bottom of the conference last year, but through a couple games, pretty good rebounding margin right now, looking at around 6 rebounds to the plus side per game, but also that kind of it's coming from a lot of different sources. I know Amber's averaging 10 right now through 2 games, which is really going to stick out. But you look past her, and there's a lot of players that are contributing 3 to 4 a game right now, which
Yeah.
is kind of where you want to be. How far has this team and this program, you think, come in that specific aspect?
I do think we have better athletes. Not to mention, we still have size. Like Ilsa's a solid rebounder. Nuri off the bench is a really good rebounder. She can easily put up big numbers rebounding wise, with longer stretches of play. Katie's a solid rebounder, and so we have some kids to go along with Amber. Our guards are quick to the ball. I expect some good rebounding outcomes from, some of the kids we have. They're more than capable of rebounding the basketball. So I'm very pleased with our front court, with how they've been doing. We just need to continue to be consistent with that. That's obvious. That's obviously have extended some possessions for us, and so it's been good to us. We just need to continue that theme. That we got some kids that can go get it. So
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for tuning in. Again, 2 games for the
absolutely.
Miami women here coming up this weekend. First on Thursday, special 5 o'clock weeknight start against Tiffin, and then on Sunday, a 1 o'clock start against Austin P. You can find radio broadcasts of both of those games here on RedHawk Radio, also on the Van Wagner Miami Sports Network with Tim Bray, and additionally television broadcasts for both games on ESPN Plus. Thanks so much for tuning in to the RedHawks Hoops Report Week 1. We'll talk to you next week. For Glenn Box, I'm Luke West Poley. Thanks for tuning in.